Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. I'm Dr. Anna, and we're going to work together today on task 2. It's wonderful to be here. Yes, very well. Please, in your chat box, can you select hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. I'm Dr. Anna, and we're going to work together today on task 2. It's wonderful to be here. In your chat box, please select all panelists and attendees so that we can share experiences. Please check again your chat box. I think that now it's okay. Thank you so much. Now it's fine. Wonderful. For those of you who have been here, welcome back. For those of you who are new to the writing class, welcome to the writing class. Yes, the chat box we open now so that we can share experiences and learn together. We're also streaming live. So for those of you streaming live with us, welcome to E2 Language. And please access www.e2language.com so that you can learn more about our courses. And for those of you here on Zoom, let's get started. We have a very busy class. So today we're going to be dealing with task 2, which is quite a challenge to get it done in 40 minutes, isn't it? If you have any questions, please use the chat box. I'll gladly reply. If I missed your question, forgive me. Sometimes the chat box rolls very quickly and I miss the question. So here we go. Oh yes, before we get started, we have our group classes. There's one coming up in a couple of hours, right? I really love the group classes because in the group classes, you get immediate feedback. So writing or speaking, and you get immediate feedback from the teacher. Graham, Sash, and I were responsible for these classes. We would love to see you there. So join us. And of course, tutorials. Now, the great benefit of the tutorial is that the teacher and the student, we sit down together and we work on the student's needs. So most likely, if you're stuck at 6.5, you're repeating the same mistakes. So when you sit down with an expert teacher, we're able to pinpoint where you're going wrong and what you should do in order to improve. So the tutorial we will be able to dedicate exclusive attention to one student, and that is really productive. So here we go. I can see students mentioning, okay, tests coming up, wonderful. For those of you who have your tests coming up, we will pray for you to have the energy and a little bit of luck to get a good question that you guys can handle better than others. But always focus and do your best. So here we go. You can book your tutorials in the E2 language platform. You can select the best time for you. Here we go. Well, IELTS writing task 2. So how many words, how many minutes, and what is the score? Let's see. Exactly. Okay, you guys are right on. Wonderful. Okay, that's it. 250 words plus. Definitely, if you're aiming for a 7 plus, you will write around 310 words at least to be able to extend your point of view appropriately. 40 minutes and 2/3 of your total writing score. Well, today's topic, let's get started with today's topic. Here we go. So today's topic, it is related to kids. We can see that, right? Definitely. So let's discuss first. What are some computer games children play these days? Okay, so I can see now names of video games and console names as well. So PS4. Okay. Now, how can computer games have a positive impact? How can this happen? Okay, imagination concentration. It can stimulate the brain, hand-eye coordination. It can reduce stress. Okay, wonderful. Some very nice ideas here. Excellent. So there's a question here. Let me see if I... So can we write two ideas in a different paragraph? Agree for one view, inform Peel structure. For the question, to what extent do you agree? Okay, no, you cannot put two ideas in the same paragraph. You have to separate. Let's suppose if it's advantages and disadvantages, you definitely have to develop only one. Maybe in the linking sentence, since you want to introduce and prepare the reader for the next paragraph, you may mention the other side as a link to the next paragraph, but you cannot discuss and develop advantages and disadvantages in the same paragraph. Okay, here we go. And how can gaming have a negative impact? Addiction, okay. A sedentary lifestyle, perfect. Okay, you guys have a lot of... It can encourage laziness, okay. Children may mimic violent games. Okay. Isolation, headaches, there's lots. So let's see. What is the real question? So the real question is, some people feel that playing computer games has a negative impact on children's health and social skills. Others say that it can have a positive effect on their lives. Discuss both views. Okay, so let's analyze this question. Playing computer games has a negative effect on children's health. How? How can this affect their health? And also social skills. So you can see that there are 2 points to discuss. It's the negative impact. However, others say, so the real question here is, how can it impact health and social skills, right? However, others say that it has a positive impact on their lives. Okay, exactly. Advantages and disadvantages, perfect. Less interaction. And how can this happen? So as you ask yourself questions, you're for each question that you ask and you provide, elaborate an answer, that you're generating ideas. So this is the best system method for you to generate ideas, is asking yourself questions, challenging your mind. You have to challenge your mind. Oh yes, and discuss both views. Now here, it does not ask clearly for your opinion. However, your position should be stated, right? Remember the band descriptors? So your position has to be here. Let's take a look here. I'm going to show you a little skeleton. So, but before that, let's take a look. We always need an introduction and a conclusion, definitely. And this part, it's quite stable. It doesn't vary too much. For example, for paragraphs, we will have to decide if it's a single idea or a double idea. So then there is some change in the type of paragraph that you will develop. But the introduction and conclusion, the structure that you will follow is background sentence, reword the prompt, and thesis statement. So that's always going to be there. And in the conclusion, it's a broad statement about the topic, and you will summarize your arguments and restate your position. Now, it will change and vary in the body paragraphs. It will depend on the question and your response. So here we go. So for example, in this case, body one will be the first view, which is the negative impact on health and social skills, and then the negative impact, okay? So how are we going to develop this? With a single or with a double idea? Now, you can also have a 5-paragraph structure. You can have one body paragraph that will work only with the first view, the second view, oops, there's a little typo error here. So this is second view. Oh no, sorry, it's correct. First view, negative impact, and then the negative impact on social skills. And the second view, the positive impact. So first health and then social. So you're going to separate. And then the second view, it's the positive impact. You can work with three body paragraphs indeed. Now, time is an issue. That's why you will have to maybe decide upon the 4 body paragraph. So today's sample, it's going to be structured with 4 paragraphs. Exactly. It depends on how you want to develop, how fast a typer you are. So all of this influences your decision. Okay, so those, they were who said a double paragraph, UPP, you've got it, 100%. And for the second view, a single idea paragraph. Remember, if we go to the prompt, it says, some people feel that playing computer games has a negative impact on children's health and social skills. So for the negative, now others say that it has a positive impact on their lives. Okay? So you can do double idea and single idea. Perfect. Let's move on then. So first we're going to work with the plan. Here we go. So when you plan, you already plan based on your paragraph type, because then your ideas will flow better. So Zara, can we do health and social skills or impact, right? On body one, and then the positive impact on body two. Yes, that's it. Perfect. So we're going to plan now. How are we going to plan this? We know that body paragraph one is going to be a double idea. So your plan is already going to be umbrella sentence, point one, extend, point two, extend. And then in body two, you're going to deal with point, explain. So this makes your writing more effective if you plan based on the paragraph type that you're going to develop. Excellent. Well done. Now we're going to plan. I'm going to leave the chat box open for now. I would love to see your ideas. Please put it in. When it comes time for writing, I will close the chat box so it won't distract you. Okay? So 3 minutes, please put in your ideas. Remember, ask yourself questions, challenge your mind, and that's the best way to develop and generate ideas. Here we go. We'll be back in 3 minutes. So wonderful, very nice ideas. Just quickly, I'd like to show you the idea of planning based on your paragraph type. So this is a plan from Yusuf. So Yusuf, here you have a plan that you have developed based on the paragraph type. So this really helps you organize your planning. So you have body paragraph 1, the negative impacts, point 1, the health impact, physical problems such as eye problems, social skills, introvert teenagers, positive. And then we have body paragraph 2. Now, of course, here, if possible, you can even extend bringing in details if you wish, but the way it's done here, the point and the extended point, it already helps. In If we understand that in neurolinguistics that studies the brain functions with language learning, when we're planning, our mindset is in a rush mode, so we're thinking, asking ourselves questions, jotting down ideas. Once we start to write, our mindset goes into a flow, and the flow, ideas will connect, sentences will connect. If we have to interrupt the flow that we're writing because our plan does not have the information we need, you interrupt the flow, you generate ideas again, you go back. This can be very exhausting to the brain and time consuming. And remember that when you sit down to do your task two, you've already done listening and reading. So you're not fresh, you're already a little tired. Avoid not making a plan. The plan will definitely prepare you to write better and you will stay on topic. Okay, so I highly encourage you, if you're not really planning in detail as it should be, I encourage you to practice and you will realize the difference when it comes to writing. So excellent ideas. Let's move on now. So before we write, let's check out the criterion. So there is the criteria for and each one. You have task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range. So remember here that we really want to fulfill all of the demands to get a good score. Observe that it says task response, present a clear and consistent position throughout the essay. So it doesn't say, oh, if the essay asks for your position. No, in all cases, you have to present a clear and consistent position throughout the essay. So how can you do that if you don't want to say, in my opinion? You can use expressions such as, I consider, what I believe, what I consider, because then you show your position and you don't necessarily say, in my opinion. You can also say, in my opinion. You will not, there won't be a penalty for that, but your position definitely has to be there. Okay? So keep this as a picture. I recommend that you take a picture. This chart is a summary of the band descriptors. So what you have to have in my perspective, okay, what I consider to be perfect. Okay, you guys are right on. Excellent. Now, from on Tuesday, we worked with subordinating conjunctions. Let's take a look. What is the function of a subordinating conjunction? Well, a subordinating conjunction will add an idea. If you're writing if you're writing your sentence, you will use conjunctions, subordinate conjunctions, to express how the ideas are connected. So if it's a contrasting idea, you're going to use a contrasting conjunction. If it's an idea that it's a concession, then you're going to use a concession. So each type of conjunction has a function. There you go. So you connect the sentence with the other, but not only connect the sentence. What kind of sentence are you connecting? You're adding information. Okay, so that's the function of the subordinate conjunction. You're adding information. Yes, then that's it. When you use subordinate conjunctions, it's a complex sentence. Perfect. And we need lots of those in our essay to get a good score. Of course, when I say you're adding information, you can be adding in information that is a contrast. You can be adding information that is a concession. There you go. Now, before this, let's check out our sample, our preview. So the preview, here we go. This is our preview. So years ago, children used to spend their free time playing games outside with friends or engaging in imaginative play. But now they are more likely to be found glued to a screen playing computer games. Some worry that this can be detrimental in terms of health and socialization, while others argue for the educational and cognitive benefits. Both views will be discussed in this essay and why I feel gaming needs to be carefully monitored by parents. So observe that in this paragraph, the sentence, the background sentence, it's extended. You don't necessarily have to write an extended background sentence. If your mind goes blank suddenly, you can do a simple sentence. The most important is to get started and move on. Don't get stuck on this background sentence. One of the best ways to write a background sentence is to use the main idea as a core idea for your background sentence. Okay? Now, you can also see expressions such as in terms of, this is academic collocation, excellent, well used. In fact, you should take note in terms of is flexible, it's easy to use. So take note of this collocation. Then paragraph 1 is going to be, those who oppose gaming have strong points to make. So we're going to work here with the negative. Nevertheless, others claim that computer games can be beneficial. And then the conclusion. Okay? Now, the conclusion is going to, once again, make a broad statement, and we're going to summarize and restate your opinion. Now, the idea of restating your opinion, we're going to discuss this when we finish writing the essay for the conclusion. For the introduction, oh, here we go. Questions in the chat box before we move on. This is a discussion essay. Can I write my views in this, or does it need to be a general view? Well, of course, you're going to write both views will be discussed. And what is your opinion in terms of, is it positive or is it negative? Okay. What is an umbrella sentence? Good question. So the umbrella sentence, it's that, imagine an umbrella that covers, so the umbrella sentence covers the ideas that will be discussed in the body paragraph. Okay. Yes, so the question is asking both views. You cannot skip background sentence. Don't skip. No, you're going to miss. The background sentence is very important because it prepares the reader for what is coming up. Now remember, the background sentence has to be neutral. You should not present any conflicting ideas or point of view. It's a general statement about the topic. That means that anybody who reads it, whether the person agrees, thinks that video games in this case is positive or negative, will agree with the sentence. You cannot write two or more ideas in one paragraph. Each paragraph will deal with one idea. Here we're going to discuss the positive and the negative points. So one body paragraph for positive and the other for negative. Do not mix the ideas. Okay? You can use the I for, especially for this situation, to explain your point of view. You, as a writer, this is you. So definitely you use the I then. So the umbrella sentence, what is a good strategy for your umbrella sentence? Once you have your plan, you point one, extend, point two, extend. When it's time to write your essay, you can write your umbrella sentence then, because you have the information that you need. Okay? So let's suppose you have this is your umbrella sentence, but it's the result of a plan that was made previously. So make your plan, and when it's time that, then you start to write your essay. When it's time for you to write your essay, you look at the plan. What is your point one? What is your point two? And it's like a backward process. Okay, it's very efficient indeed. Okay, let's go. Now it's time for us to write. So here, for example, once you make your point, you extend in your plan. When it's time for you to write, you take the ideas that you have in your plan here in point one and kind of like do a backward process. Okay? Excellent. Moving on now. We have made the plan. Now it's time to write. You know the criteria. This is a chart that can help you. These are the major, not only subordinate conjunctions, and also relative pronouns. Relative pronouns, you will also use, it will also build a complex sentence. The difference is that when you use a relative pronoun, you are adding information, but that refers back to an element. So if you want to refer back to a person, who, if it's an object, which, if it's a place, where. So not only are you adding information, but you're adding information that refers back to a specific person, place, or element. Okay? Introduction, and here we go. Let's get started. So, ideally, now that you have a plan, it will take you approximately 7 minutes for you to write your body paragraph one. So, go back to your introduction. You have already identified what is the main topic. You have a plan designed. So, this will definitely help you with your thesis statement. Don't forget to put in your point of view. Yes, in the conclusion too, we put our opinion. Okay, so now I'm going to close the chat box so it doesn't distract you because it becomes quite busy. Please put in your writings. I love to read your writings. Let's get started then. We'll be back in 7 minutes. Focus. Okay, excellent job. Very well done. I was here reading the participations, excellent participations, very well structured uh, introductions. Most yet with a few slips of grammar. So definitely that's, I know that you haven't had time to review it. So that can be it. No proofreading. So some of the mistakes can be due to lack of proofreading. So definitely. Now, I can see some questions here in the chat box. I'm trying to answer them in the chat box. Practice, Prasanna, definitely practice makes perfect. So now let's go to body one and let's see what we have here in body one. In body one, you should be dealing with a double idea paragraph definitely here because we're going to have the social, remember the health and social skills. Exactly, negatives and double idea. So definitely, as I said, you have your plan. Based on your plan now, when you start to write, you're ready to write your umbrella sentence based on the plan that you have made. Okay? So now, which body structure are you using for body one? Which one did you decide? Here we go. So there's a question here, Sangita. So Sangita asks, thesis statement in introduction paragraph can be ruled out when essays doesn't ask for our opinion. No, thesis statement will always be present because the thesis statement, what is the idea and the function of a thesis statement? It is to inform the reader what is going to happen, how the topic is going to be discussed, so you cannot miss out, and neither your position. It's a must. Okay, you will definitely lose points if you don't have a thesis statement. In fact, the thesis statement, it's the third sentence of the introduction, and it's a promise. You are promising your reader. So this essay will discuss this. So it's informing the reader what will be developed in the following paragraphs. It's a must. Okay. Double ideas. Okay, so the majority here. So can I start with some believe this? Well, you can not the first sentence, of course, of the introduction, right? So Hirao, since it asks for negative and positive and negative, can we use single idea? You can, but don't forget that they're asking to discuss the children's health and social skills. So suddenly, a single idea, I'm not sure how you're going to fit in both, right? Okay. What's the main point you want to make in that paragraph? Is it the negative or is it the positive? In this case, I believe that most are starting with the negative impact. Always be sure that your paragraph is directly answering the question. So, if it's talking about the negative impact on children's health and social skills, don't miss either health or social skills. You have to discuss both ideas. Well, these are not ideas, both points. The idea is the negative impact. And then you have the health, point one, health, point two, social skills. Okay, I don't think I've missed. Here we go. So now it's your turn to write your umbrella, of course, umbrella sentence too. Today, the sample that you will see, it is using a double idea paragraph. Okay? In this case, single idea, you would have to write two single ideas, right? The negative impact on health, and then another single idea for social skills. Okay? Excellent. Let's get started. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box and I'll gladly reply. Here we go. Okay, excellent. So just to exemplify, just to show us as for example, what I mean when I mentioned the grammar issues. Okay, we learn a lot from mistakes. So I selected just a sentence here for us to discuss, Alina. So we start off here. So what is, I'd like you now to help me out here in the chat box with what can we do to make this sentence better? This is the first sentence of body one. So first of all, right, we have here. So please put in your comments in the chat box. What can we do? So first of all, firstly, we have to be careful. Initially, I like initially, Moideen. That's very good. Okay, that's a very good idea. Uh, you can use the word initially to begin instead of first of all. First of all, firstly, they're a little bit mechanical, what we call the mechanical markers. You should avoid them when you're writing. They are correct if you're aiming for a 6. If you're aiming for a 7 plus, you have to upscale your writing a little bit. So you have to show the examiner that you know more than just these mechanical markers, that you can go a step up. Okay? So it's not that it's wrong to use firstly, secondly. It's just that they don't produce scores as high as a more sophisticated and a more varied form of introducing ideas. So you should introduce your ideas using different expressions than just firstly, secondly, or furthermore, in addition. So we definitely name these types of markers as mechanical markers. As I said, they're not wrong, but they do not produce high scores. So we would go initially, people who think, no S here because people is plural. So contrary to belief, so here we would also go with in the I'm replying to some students. I'm using capital letters. It's not to be rude. It's just to point out the correction that I'm making. Okay. People who think. So in English, curiously, the S for verbs, it's only for singular. So try to ingrain that in your mind. S is for singular when it comes to verbs. Think negatively on the matter. Now, hopefully there is a link from the introduction to body one. So somehow the thesis statement leads, and then you can write this sentence. A child can be easily addicted to computer games and engage. Do we need the them here? And engage them. No, right? And engage. We can go for long hours. We don't need to get engaged, no. And engage in this activity. You can put if you want in this activity. Okay, that's a suggestion. Engage for very long hours. Okay, very well. So these are the types of mistake that I mentioned. So grammar, definitely you have to step up your grammar to get a good score in the criteria, in the criterion of grammar. Okay, wonderful. Once again, we learn from mistakes. So moving on now, we're going to go to body two. In body two, you will develop a single idea because now we're going to be discussing the positive impact on their lives. So we don't necessarily need to point out health and social skills. It's the general perspective of the positive impact on their lives. Choose one point. It can be cognitive skills, it can be coordination. Choose one and develop that one idea. Okay, here we go. We'll be back. Please continue putting your writings in the chat box. I really love to read all of your comments, and I'm trying. Once again, if you see when I reply in capital letters, it's only to point out the correction. Okay, so very well done. Here we go. There are some points and some examples that I would like to discuss with you guys. Let's work together now. So, once again, we learn a lot from mistakes, but there are some examples that I would like to point out as positive examples. So, Aaron, here we go. Others, however. So, look, instead of beginning the sentence with however, we shifted to the we shifted away from the beginning of the sentence. So look how this is more sophisticated than just say, however, comma, others point out. So others, comma, however, point out the advantages of getting involved in computer-based entertainment. So synonyms for computer games. And the most important one relates to mental development. This is because video games, in fact, help build the creativity of young children. So, once again, in fact, in the middle of the sentence, instead of beginning the sentence. So, taking these markers and shifting them away from the beginning of the sentence, it really upscales your writing and will bring in better scores. Very well done, Aaron. Okay, now let me check out another one here that let me choose. I'm going to choose at random. The chat box is rolling very quickly, so let me try and find. So let me find one here. Here we have another student also. So let me show you. Very well done, Navina. Here we go. So so computer games, however. Now, what can we do here to make this first sentence correct? There's a little grammar slip. So computer games, if you could tell me in the chat box, what is the grammar slip in the first sentence? Exactly. Have, there we go. So we're going to put here have. It's a capital letter. I'm putting it in capitals just to point out. The verb has to be plural because it refers back to computer games, have a positive impact on our lives. Now, would you say a positive impact or computer games have positive impacts? Because it's not only one. Of course, you're going to point out one. Okay? These can improve. So these what? The computer games can improve the cognitive skills because each game is designed with a strategies, and players will develop how to solve the puzzles in each situation. Yes, ideally, the introduction, the first sentence, the topic sentence should probably bring in the concept of positive impacts, and then you're going to point. However, if you're developing a single idea paragraph, you already have to start with your point. So the positive impact. Computer games, however, have positive impacts on our lives. And then these can improve, for instance, cognitive skills and so on. So here the concept is a general concept that you're going to discuss one point. So you can have this in this topic sentences if you wish to introduce the main idea of the paragraph. So then have positive impacts. Now, when we say these here, it these can improve the cognitive skills. Or you can do something like this, such as improving cognitive skills. Okay, there we go. So you introduce the concept of the positive impacts, and then you bring in what point you're going to discuss. Yes, Moidin, you can do that. So Moidin has asked a question, and this is an interesting question. Let me bring it here. So others, however, myself included, believe so this is a possible sentence, of course. Others, however, myself included, believe so on and so on. Very good. Excellent sentence, Martin. Well done. Questions? Can we move on to the conclusion? So if our essay extends, I missed the question. The chat box was rolling so quickly when I was about to find the question, but I'll find it later on and I'll answer it. So if you bring, so Shitao is saying even chess games. Remember, Shitao, the focus here, unless you're talking about chess games online, virtual chess games, then it's not computer games. We're talking about gaming. So be sure that you stay on topic. Okay? Excellent. Let's move on. Now we're going to go to the conclusion. So the conclusion as well. Remember that there is a structure in the structure. Introduction, body one, body two, conclusion. And each part of the essay has a structure to follow. For the conclusion, you should have a broad statement about the topic and summarize your arguments and restate your opinion. Remember, here we go. We'll be back in 7 minutes. Please continue putting your writings in the chat box. I love reading them all. Okay, excellent. Very well done. Very good ideas. Now, don't forget to put your position in the conclusion. Some of you have forgotten the little detail of putting your position in the conclusion. Okay, be clear that you have a position and restate it in the conclusion. Remember that the band descriptor says throughout your response. Okay, excellent. Now, these are the common errors that we see when we correct your essays that you send in. Not necessarily in this order, but these are the common errors. So, subject verb agreement, missing words, spelling. So, this is what we see as the most common mistakes. Make sure you edit with your common errors in mind. Now, how can you know what are your common errors? Well, as when you send in your assessments to E2 language, we send back a report. So we send back the corrections, pointing out where you went wrong, and suggestions on how you should improve, actions that you can take. You have to list these. Keep a list, keep track of your mistakes. So you will maybe realize that you have frequent mistakes with articles. So not only should you study articles again and again, but also when it comes time for you to proofread your essays, remember about have this list in mind of what are your most common errors. We can use collocations definitely as long as they're appropriate in tone and for this and for the context, for the meaning. Okay. Once again, I highly recommend that you save this, take a picture, save it, study, and have this in mind when you're writing. So you will check your essay and ask yourself, did I organize information? Did I use my paragraphs? Now, when it says also here, the linking devices appropriately, this is what we were talking about, shifting from the beginning to the middle of the sentence. So, Nia, prompt did not ask for our position. Yes, so even if the prompt doesn't ask for your position, I'm opening up now the chat box for last round of questions, okay? So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. Can we use however in a single sentence? Most likely you can't use therefore and however, okay? If our essay extends to 350, no, that's not a negative point at all. You can write 350. So what does the L in Peel mean? It means link. So there are two ways for you to write this sentence, the link sentence. You should try to connect what you just conclude what you discussed in the Peel paragraph, and introduce the next one. So leading to the next idea. Or if you can't manage that, because it can happen, focus on concluding your paragraph. Okay? So how do we put participle clauses in? Well, participle, it's the ing forms. We use them to connect ideas. Okay? Now we're going to check your homework. And this is our essay sample. Now, before that, let me quickly mention once again the writing feedback that we have. So the writing feedback comes in with a score, but also with suggestions and actions that you should take to improve. So video links and material for you to improve where you're going wrong. And this is our essay. So please take a picture and read it in detail. Identify how the idea has been introduced, how it has been developed, the different conjunctions that have been used, punctuation. So, for instance, we have here a sentence that has, as young people have difficulty with moderation, comma, unless a parent is supervising. So when you begin your sentence with a subordinating conjunction, before adding another sentence, you need to end it with a comma. You need to place a comma there. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, some of you are already saying goodbye because our class is ending indeed. Now, in this case here, I would like you to focus in conclusion. Sitting on a device for hours on and end is definitely not a healthy way to spend leisure time. However, with supervision, children who play computer games can reap benefits which will serve them well in their adult lives. Now, how can we make our point more clear, make the writer's point clear in the conclusion? However, I believe that with supervision, so I can, by simply inserting here, however, very good idea. However, I believe that with supervision, children who play computer games. So always be sure that you restate or reconfirm your position in the conclusion so that you really fulfill the band descriptor of throughout the essay. Okay? Yes, Carla. So this question is very similar to discuss both views and give opinion. The difference is that when it says give opinion, you can maybe more freely use in my opinion, in my view, so in my viewpoint. When you don't have that, you should use the strategy of your position. You can say in this essay, okay, Jessa, not on, it's in this essay. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really impressed how hard you guys worked. I highly recommend that you listen to the podcast. It's available also on Spotify. Jay discusses with the specialists at IDP uh, about task two. It's very informative, this podcast. It's worth your time. I've listened to it more than once. So, how to conquer IELTS writing task two. I highly encourage you to review the recorded classes and the self-study material. Go through the self-study material again. Submit your writing and speaking feedback so that you know where you stand and what you need to do to improve. And of course, tutorials. I'd love to see you in a tutorial. And if you have any questions, please, our support team, they're awesome. They're competent and they're very quick. Hello at e2language.com, and I'm sure that they will answer all your questions. Okay, take care now. Enjoy your Sunday and push hard. Practice. Remember, practice makes perfect. Bye bye now.